We are tracking all of the latest COVID-19 data to make sure you have clear information about the spread of the deadly disease. Cases are trending upward in Georgia over the past week, but so are deaths. Take a look. Last weekend, a total of 6 people lost their lives to COVID-19, but since then, a dramatic jump. You can see that spike in the area that is orange. Since Monday, we've averaged 48 deaths each day. So here's what we also know. Even though restrictions are loosening, the disease is more deadly for older people. 85% of those who passed away were over the age of 60. Places like nursing homes and rehab facilities are still incredibly vulnerable. 46% of the deaths in the state of Georgia can be linked directly to long-term care facilities. You'll find the latest on where Georgia stands on our website, 11alive.com. We have a special coronavirus section with analysis of case numbers, plus what you need to know as more businesses are allowed to reopen.